This is the GMologist, GM extraordinaire, the GMologist.
Welcome everyone to the GMologist Presents. Thanks for coming in and listening. It's been some time. I was out of town and I did record a lot of stuff, but had not been able to get on the platform to put it all together. And so here we go. I think the title of this guy is going to be Tales from the Nazarene. I have several call-ins from the Raven God, Joe Salvatore. I have call-ins from Jason Connerly of Nerds RPG Variety Cast, and a call-in from Joe Richter of Hindsightless. And I add to that a couple unboxings that I thought were really cool, and some recaps of games that I either ran or played. And Tales from the Nazarene, well, that's because of the special session I ran this morning with Joe Salvatore to catch him up in our Twilight 2000 game, and I think it makes for a good transition in our game based on between that and based on what happened in the last session from Krakow with Love. Yeah, it's going to be a neat to see what's happening in that T2K game going forward. And I have a couple more games today, but I think I will save them for another episode. I have a game of Cult with Kevin Madison of Dungeon Musings, and then I'm going to run some Deadlands for our dinner group. It's been some time, but I think I'm going to start them on a new, like a little adventure. So we'll see how that goes. Anyway, sit back and listen. I think I'll start with the call-ins, and then we'll get to the content. Call-ins are fun, right?
Hey Carl, thanks again for the Reaver recap. Your recap of Jackals makes it sound really good. I need to dive into that and give it a little bit like of a deeper read, I guess. I've just kind of perused it. But whatever you're running in Anglo-Saxon England, you let me know. I'll play that. Laters. And on that topic, Carl, if you're looking for any kind of like inspiration, I highly suggest the Bernard Cornwell's The Last Kingdom series. I listened to that in audiobooks, and it was really good. Yeah, kind of some deep dives into like kind of the mentality of like the warriors of the time and that sort of thing. Really cool stuff. I think you dig it. Anyway, we'll talk to you later.
Hey, Joe. Thanks for... Yeah, Jackals is a really fun game. Thanks for the comments. I definitely enjoy Reaver too. You know, it's I like that kind of sword and sorcery type of vibe. That I guess in a way it's like sword and sandal, right? In both cases, where we're walking with our sandals and we have a sword or two, and that's kind of the way the Bronze Age feels to me too. Very similar feels, though different ages. And I like Bernard Cornwell stuff. I read a lot of Sharps. I like the Sharps a lot. Have actually proposed the Sharps Napoleonic era type game on the Discord server, and that would be kind of neat to do too. But I read The Last Kingdom. I've seen the show. I just need to catch up on the rest of the series. But I like his work. I like Bernard Cornwell. He's got some good stuff, historical fiction type things. So yeah, I think what I would run in Anglo-Saxon England, I definitely have some Cthulhu Dark Ages / Eldritch Tales. I don't know. It would be fun to try some Cthulhu Dark Ages stuff using Eldritch Tales. I bet you it could be fun to convert and run. That'd be kind of neat to do. And the newest Cthulhu Dark Ages actually does take place in Anglo-Saxon England circa 1050. So, you know, or maybe it's a little earlier, but yeah, close to that time. So, but I really liked studying, you know, between when the Romans left and the time that the Normans came. All that time period is very fascinating. It'd be cool to. I even have definitely have some stuff taking place like during the Danelaw too, right? So yeah, it'd be fun. It's something to put on the list, right? And thanks for the call, Joe. And thanks for letting me be in on that playtest for Reaver. Can't wait to see it in its full form.
Hey Carl, enjoyed your latest episode, enjoyed the recaps. Sounds like you have a great crew of players for Jackals. It's a fun game. Glad you're getting to run it and glad you're enjoying it. It's always great when the GM's into the system and enjoying it. I'm also looking forward to finishing up the Tale of the Black Grimoire Barbarians Lemuria game. By the time this message airs, hopefully we'll have played that session. Hopefully it's going to fit in a single session. That's the plan, because some of the players' schedules make it hard, including mine, make it hard for us all to get together. So hopefully we'll finish it up, and you'll be able to give a recap, hopefully at the same time you're playing this message. So as far as damaged goods, when you receive them, yeah, it happens. It kind of sucks. Reach out to the company. Usually companies will make it good. So, knock on wood. Anyhow, talk to you later.
Well, yay, we got to play Barbarians of Lemuria. The recap is further down in this episode. And Jackals is a good game. I enjoy it. I definitely enjoy the folks who are playing it, and we seem to be getting into it. I enjoy the clash system. I do not think it is kludgy. It's just, we need to know. It's the first session we ran it. First two combats we did it. And it seemed to work pretty well. As I think it just takes time to know what moves you're gonna use, or what you're gonna use with the clash points, and how you're gonna use them, if you're gonna save them or not. There's all these considerations. I think it fits a nice section where, it's just a basic roll D100. It's contested, but there's a chart that shows what happens when there's contestation, and I think it falls in that nice area where there's enough to do on the front end for the end result, if that makes sense. So yeah, I like it. I do like it a lot. And like you said, we have a good group. So now you're going to talk about the Reaver game. And I think I recapped that later too. But you have no, that was from the last time. So yeah, this time you got some neat comments, some neat insight on what different players see. I think that's kind of cool. So here are the next couple comments from Jason.
Oh, by the way, I meant to mention in the Reaver recap, it's interesting that, so I didn't automatically assume that the Thieves Guild and the magicians that Cato, that were in cahoots, that Cato sold I think it was a stone that he took from the Valley Mists. He brought it back for the Thieves Guild, and they gave it to some magicians that disappeared. I didn't automatically take it that they were involved in the sacking of the city. I thought perhaps maybe there were different things. For all we know, the Thieves Guild was trying to save the city. Yeah, I didn't think that was explicit. So that's very interesting. Either I missed something, which is very possible, because there are times I get distracted during the game by the dogs or something, and so I miss a line of dialogue, or maybe we're taking different readings on it, and maybe, I don't know, maybe Joe hasn't decided yet, but it's very interesting. So our characters are going to have different knowledge. Well, maybe they won't have different knowledge, but they're going to have different notions about what's going on. So that's very interesting. Hope that we'll see how that comes up during the game. That's really cool. I don't know. I mean, I guess I can see where that's the idea, but I don't know. I mean, we know magic was used by the people attacking the city, or we assume magic was being used because there were mists around the one gate. Maybe that were some of the thieves, some of the conspirators escaping, as opposed to some of the attackers entering through that back gate. Who knows? I don't know. The simplest answer is usually the right one, though, right? Occam's razor. So you're probably right in this, and I probably just missed a piece of dialogue. Very cool. Yeah, Reavers is a neat system. I really enjoy it. So there you go. If I don't talk to you beforehand, have a good flight, but I think I will hopefully on Thursday for Barbarians Lemuria. Take care.
It'd be really cool to ask the player who plays Laszlo what their perspective is. Maybe we'll have a chance to talk about that next time we play Reaver, which I think isn't going to be until the next year, but that's okay, So yeah, I think it's a cool consideration on how we view things differently from the different player perspectives, and then how that is interpreted by their player characters, right? So yeah, thanks for the call-ins, Jason. And now we got one more call from Joe Richter.
So call me Dr. Love. They call me Dr. Love. Calling Dr. Love. I am your doctor of love. Calling Dr. Love. Dude, I think hearing you talk about that Jackal session was the most excited I've ever heard you talk about anything on this show. And it was amazing, man. I absolutely loved it. The session sounded like it was super fun. That system sounds dope, dude. You sold the hell out of it. So good job on that. Yeah, what else? Twilight 2000. The game that I cannot help think of as a sci-fi game just because of the name. That's intense. That whole situation, that's intense, man. That's like camping for sure. Sorry to steal. Uh, Taylor said that the other day. I say that all the time, though, too, Taylor. I wasn't biting your style, man. I promise. Anyway, awesome stuff. Awesome stuff, Carl. Take it easy. Peace out.
Hey Joe, thanks for the call-in. Yeah, I think the Twilight 2000 was pretty intense, and you're going to hear. Well, one of the players was not there, but then I got a makeup session from him today where he was off doing his own thing. And this game is turning out to be pretty interesting, intriguing. Who knows what's going to happen? Who knows what plans the various player characters have for their players, and what's going to happen in the future for this band of refugees. Yeah, they're a mixed group of rescued prisoners that were American, rescued left for dead that were American, and a hodgepodge of mixed people who were associated with this one division. And Jackals is really cool. Like I said, I'm enjoying it. And actually, there's going to be a special treat here because I just got some call-ins, like hot off the press, from Darren Green, who's going to talk about his impressions of Jackals and what he thought. And I guess I'll comment after. Hopefully, it's not too negative. I don't think so. He seemed to really enjoy what he was doing as his player character. So again, thanks for the call, Joe, and we'll talk to you soon. It's definitely not negative. And in fact, if you were not sold on Jackals yet, when you hear Darren's player's perspective, you might be sold on it. Thanks, Darren, ahead of time for the calls. They are really awesome. They add to Joe's exclamation that Jackal's pretty dope.
Arfed here, just calling regarding the Jackal session that I played in last weekend. I just wanted to ring and say that I really enjoyed the system. I think the Clash combat system worked really well. With the player I'm playing was obviously a melee combat fighter type, and allowed him to basically defend himself during the enemy's turn, but also make attacks during his turn. I could spend my clash points to do extra damage or hit more than one target. But if I spent all my clash points during my turn, then I couldn't defend in the enemy's turn. So it made you make those decisions, but it definitely felt that he was quite heroic when it comes to melee combat, which I think was great. The other players were also able to use their clash points to do range combat. One of the players managed to summon a sort of spirit with his ritual, which worked really well. Allowed him to use that with his clash points again. He could use the spirit in combat like a melee fighting type, or he could use his ranged shooting and clash points to shoot multiple times if he kept hitting. I thought the ritual seemed quite powerful, which was good again because my character definitely felt very capable in melee combat, but it meant the other players could still contribute well in combat, which I think some games, once you've used your points up, you can sit out as a magic user or something, which it didn't feel like in this game. So really enjoyed it. We was obviously all new to the system. This was only the second session. I thought it ran pretty smoothly. We did check a few little rules, but I think most of the players had done quite a bit of reading. I'd certainly read up on the combat system again just to remind myself, which certainly helped. I think it ran, like I say, pretty smoothly. Any other points which were interesting? I thought the initiative was quite interesting, where everyone rolled initiative, so you'd have your slot in the initiative, but any player could give up their slot for one of the other players. So if you've got someone that was in a particularly good situation or a particularly dangerous situation they wanted to get out, you could give up your initiative slot, which I thought was quite interesting. So that was another part of the game that I quite enjoyed. Anyway, looking forward to more sessions ahead, and yeah, thanks for running.
Thank you, Darren. That was a really great summary of a bit of the mechanics from the player's perspective. And yeah, as you can hear, pretty excited about it. And I appreciate that. Like you said, it was the second time we ran it. We had to look up some things, but I felt like everyone participated, got into it, was engaged. And I think the clash points help with that to keep character engagement. Like, what am I going to do next? How am I going to use my clash points? Yeah, it was good. And I hope to continue. I got some cool adventures planned, so let's hope the campaign continues to advance and these players continue to thrive and feel heroic in the near Bronze Age world of the Zaharets, and Jackals. All right, I'm going to do a couple of unboxings. I got some things today in the mail, and before I go on my trip, I didn't want to do them because if not, then they won't get done until later in the week. So here we go. This one is from Lightning Source. It's a kind of almost an A5 size, but a little longer. So it's, like about 6 inches though by 13 or so long. And it's just one of these pull outs with glue. So I'll do that with the glue. Oh yes, it is my Savage Ops Second Strike. So Savage Worlds. This is a reprint, but updated for the Savage Worlds Adventure Edition. So suede. So this game uses the Savage World Adventure Edition, but other versions of Ghost Ops are also available. I'm very excited. This has an introduction, operator recruitment, the quartermaster, so all the requisition and loadouts, safe houses, supply drops, setting rules, command center, and an intro mission. I definitely need to get on the Roll20 and set this thing up. Maybe I'll make some characters and throw it on my potential players. It's very cool. A little addition. I did invest a lot on the PDFs, but it's good to get a hard copy, especially of the latest rule edition, which is kind of neat. So yeah, it's a suede product too, which I really like. It is by Feral Gamers, and I'll put the, they do have some social media, so I can, put them on there. Maybe I'll go on to their Discord. They have a Discord and a Patreon, which is kind of cool. So the author is written and designed by Jay Lassard. So pretty cool. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I like Savage Worlds, and I think like a Ghost Ops type game, modern mercenary type warfare would be kind of neat with the system. The second box comes from a friend of mine who I play a lot of games with. And thank you very much. You probably know who you are when you listen to this unboxing. But it's pretty cool. It's very generous. And something he feels that I could take great advantage of. So here we go. It is a box that's about 6 by... No, it's not 6. It's like 4 inches thick or deep. And about 13 by 17. So a standard parcel box that you see. So here goes. Ooh, nice bubbles. Bubbles which are nice. Instead of the other. And this is very cool. This is the what I've been sent is the Call of Cthulhu 40th Anniversary Rulebook. It's very, very nice. Deluxe copy. The 40th Anniversary design. It has like a book cover and then sort of a black leatherette. Very nice. Yeah, so this is pretty cool. So it starts with a foreword by Sandy Peterson, all the people who have contributed. It's definitely very nice looking book. It's got intro, game system, Lovecraft and the Mythos, making adventures, skills, combat, of course. So let's see. Yeah, I like this. It's kind of neat. So they use the 7th edition rules. Yeah, it's just like I guess it is the 7th edition rules, but the player's book, which is pretty cool because they do have like optional luck. But that's pretty nice. Very nice book. I'm glad that he sent it to me. It's great for the collection. So thank you very much for the book. It will cause many a player character, not players, to go insane. So thanks very much for sending it. The Call of Cthulhu Keeper Rulebook 40th Anniversary Edition. Very nice. Hey everyone, I'm going to do an unboxing and I have very special guests in the background. They might hoot and holler because we've been having a beer or two.
Ordering.
Yeah, so we actually finished our Deadlands game. We played for like 3 hours or so. I'll do a recap at some point to see what the shenanigans these folks get into, but I'm going to do an unboxing and feel free, you guys, to holler in the background and make noise. But it's an Amazon package. It's one of those Amazon you like tear. It's about, I would say about 8.5 by 14. I don't need to get Anvil out. Anvil is my handy dandy box cutter. but today is just rip and tear.
Nice.
So it's an Osprey book. Saxon, Viking, and Norman. Oh my gosh, Metallica's about to start, so I better hurry up. So it's pretty cool. It's an Osprey book. It has like, of course, it's Osprey Cliff Notes. Great stuff. It's by Terrence Weiss, illustrated by Jerry Embleton. Actually, it's really good maps. But it's going to talk to us all about what happened, during the, I think probably like 8th to 11th century in England, but Saxon, Vikings, and Normans all fighting each other. Awesome plates, wouldn't you say?
Fantastic.
Woo, we'll have to eat some Viking heart.
I will have to borrow that one.
Yes, for sure. Yeah, it's like Cliff Notes. They got some great both illustrated art and then Bayou Tapestry stuff. I love it when documentaries go through the Bayou Tapestry and say like, oh look, that's where Harold got killed. It's kind of neat. So yeah, pretty cool book. It's a good book. It's good for reference and study because I'm sure I will have I've been requested by some players of mine to maybe think about a Dark Ages game in Anglo-Saxon England. So this is a great study for that. All right. Thank you, guys. So what happens when you have like a bad or lackluster session? I'm actually a little bored and somewhat irritated. I'm at the Houston International Airport waiting for the plane to San Antonio to board, but there was a delay. And truth be told, the airline people at the gate, the airline people on the plane have always been good, and I never have issues. Definitely the staff of workers at the gate for name the airline of your choice are always not pleasant and pretty rude, but maybe they just deal with a lot of irate customers during this time of year especially. Anyway, I want to recap a bit my Starfinder game, and I felt it was lackluster. Maybe I didn't have a lot of energy. I felt the players didn't have a lot of energy. And so the last time we played, they had gotten their butts kicked by some monsters. This like Uzi creature, mama Uzi creature that spit out little baby Uzis. And they got overwhelmed and retreated. One player nearly died. They did a really cool like aliens maneuver where they ran him over, including they ran him over too, but they knocked the little Uzi things off him that were grabbing him, and they grabbed him and got him to safety and were able to heal him, or at least he stabilized, right? So I guess the other weird experiment is I'm recording this with a mask on, because you have to wear masks at airports. You're mandated, and the mask police will come out and get you if you don't. Right? I mean, I'm vaccinated with the Pfizer, and I've gotten a booster already. So, but it's still definitely anxious because there's a lot of people, and it's just the way it is, I guess. So anyway, so they decided they didn't want to re-engage that creature, so they retreated, rested, then they just did exploration. And I guess I roll randomly for an encounter because it's based on the type of terrain they go through. There's a table, the type of terrain they go through, and whether they're cautious or thorough. And they decided to be cautious because they were beat up. And I guess we're down 2 players who are the heavy hitters. And actually, I guess those 2 players are the ones who drive the action for the most part. I don't know. I mean, if the other players are listening, please don't be insulted. That might be the reality of it. So anyway, they just explored. We only had 1 encounter, and it was really tough because, again, I guess we didn't have the heavy hitters, and it was against a creature called a Lynxacoot, and it gave them a hard time. They were missing a lot. They finally got their shots in and their touch attacks off or whatever, but it was challenging. And then I think the other interesting thing is they did find a strange rock formation and examined it and noted it, and then headed back to the settlement. But it was really, that's about it, I guess because I give XP for exploration, they did level up. They did gain enough XP to level up, and maybe once they're now at like 3rd level, they get some other abilities that make them more lethal in combat and have more staying power, so maybe they'll be more bold. I don't think I'm a killer GM, but I might be a bloody GM. And the players are cautious when they play some of my games, I guess, and have to get to a level where they feel comfortable and not be afraid of the encounters that might be out there. So maybe they'll tackle that creature the next time. So there you go. That's my Starfinder recap. So the other game I was able to play and participate in, did not run, was a game of Barbarians of Lemuria. Again, this is an experiment because there's a lot of background noise. But hey, I'm bored waiting to get on the plane. Well, they haven't even called for the boarding. They have to do something like clean and cater. I don't know. Maybe it's just Houston. Maybe it's the airlines. Some airlines I fly don't have this issue, but your mileage may vary when it comes to airline flights. Anyway, it's a game of Barbarians of Lemuria that was a long time in coming and finishing, and you can hear an excellent recap from the GM's point of view by Jason Connerly of Nerds RPG Variety Cast, his latest episode, which came out, I want to say today, this morning. This might not come out till Monday because I still gotta get on and put it all together, and I'm still not at home. So yeah, it was a good session. I contend that, again, I'm a contentious player. So, you know, his recap's great because it gives a whole summary of what had happened. But in this particular game, we had finally made it to the jungle. We were traveling through there. We had some incidences in the jungle with some jungle vermin, including some weird plant-animal hybrid. And then there's a spider thing that was on my hand. And you know what? No matter how many times I try, I can't stab at my hand with the spear when I try to flick an animal off of it, even if it's as small as a water bug. So 10 out of 10 times. I don't know, maybe I watch Aliens way too much, and I'm the kind of person that's like Bishop, do the thing with the knife, and I don't cut myself. So there you go. So that was an issue that I had, is that, and I listening to the recap that Jason gave, he did give me an agility check to avoid hurting myself, but I feel like I would only hurt myself if I rolled like a critical fumble, which I did not, because it just doesn't make sense. You stab something off your hand, scorpion up. I mean, I've seen movies and people who have described, ex-military folks of mine who have flicked those sulfurids, those sun spiders, off their legs with a knife or something like that, or a sharp stick, and yeah, they didn't cut themselves. So I don't know. So that was kind of contentious, but you move on, you injure yourself, you get petulant. The other cool encounter that when we were camping the next day, we had a encounter with like a giant, like T-Rex type monster, and I think I had a good plan, and it worked. I shot one of our mounts in the butt. It took off, and the Tyrannosaurus Rex creature followed it. It's called something else, but it's more or less a T-Rex. I mean, that's what's kind of strange. I mean, I know it's its own world, and they're trying to have their own propriety, but when you have orthologs that work for players, just use those orthologs, in my opinion. That's why I think a lot of people have a big issue with 7C, or I did for the longest time, until I realized it's probably not Earth, and there's a reason things are what they are. But that's only what GMs know and not what players see. And players see like all these orthologs for various countries from 17th century Europe and golden age of piracy mixed with the Conquista, and it's weird for them and it doesn't work. So that's my same issue with Barbarians of Lemuria. Well, I like the world and I like the sword and sorcery, and of course Jason runs a really fantastic game. Those things that kind of break the immersion for me, especially when even the GM's having problem pronouncing what they are, because why not just call it a giant T-Rex? Anyway, but we finally do get to the ziggurat. We make our way up. Not a lot happened. I think we had felt that this mage, Pazuzu, or priest or whatever was going to betray us anyway, and we got into two fights. I left Gar outside. I play Harn, who's a hunter type, and we have Zamoran, who's played by Eric Salzwedel of Mega Chicken Cooper Duper podcast, and Joe Richter of Hindsightless, who plays the rat. One player did not was not able to make it. Advith, played by Arlen Walker. But we ran him as an NPC, and I felt like it was a group run, and we kind of made logical choices for him, which is mainly to run into battle and cut things down. So we had two encounters. We had a encounter with a bunch of these crawling claws, and they were surprisingly tough. We were rolling like crap. It's really odd, and I think it was part of the debriefing at the end of the game is like, well, maybe we're just low level, and if we roll low enough, it's not going to work, and we don't seem competent. And fortunately, some of the players had some good ideas that worked, like some more in putting half of them in stone. And then finally, Advis turned around. We had enough hero points that we were able to slice through them and all that kind of stuff. Advith used his hero points to great effect in the second part of the encounter, which was when Pazuzu said, "Give me the book." Zamoran said, "I don't think so." And then all these undead priests came out and went to battle against us. And it was challenging. We had a few rounds where we didn't do very well. But then after that, like I said, Advith got his groove on and cut through several. Harn got the one that was off of him, probably with a dagger instead of an arrow. But then when Pazuzu tried to flee after pursuing one of his priests who had grabbed the book from Zamoran, Zamoran got taken down somewhere in the fight. I took down Pazuzu, which was nice. The priest got away, which was odd. And that seems like a part of the adventure, but also leaves open for another follow-up adventure. But it would be nice to at least maybe get some rolls in to make it pretend like the players could find out where he went, and then we just fail our rolls or we don't get well enough because there's some inherent minuses and negatives. Maybe the guy used magic. We go to a point where we find his tracks and they just disappear. I think those are choices that could be made. I don't know if that was part of the adventure or not. I don't even know if this was a written adventure or not, truth be told. So those are considerations. And it does remind me, like I'm reading through a current adventure, Waves of Crimson for Conan D20, and I'm wondering, man, how, without taking too much player agency, I haven't quite read through it, how am I going to pull this off? If I even want to bother. There's some things that happen early on in the adventure that set up cool things that can happen later in the adventure. But, I do, as a player, I definitely have a hard time trusting GMs, which I'm trying to get over. But, and as a GM, I know that I have certain players that get their hackles all up when things happen to them, like their stuff gets taken, their stuff gets broken, or they get captured. So there you go. That might have been a spoiler for that particular adventure. Anyway, it was cool, and we did get treasure out, and then we described how we spent all our money. Like myself and Dar go to a spa. We spend the rest of the money left over from the spa helping the rat to find and bribe individuals so that we can find this priest who took the book, the Black Grimoire. But it was a fun game, and again, a game socially, I can be a pain in the ass at times as a player, but oh well. Sometimes it happens. Sometimes I let the real world stress and stuff get to me, and that can happen. Anyway, I think we're boarding now, so I will cut this off, and there we go. Black Grimoire for Barbarians of Lemuria, and the other game I played this week. Well, you all have just been rickrolled. It's an inside joke in our Twilight 2000 campaign. Rick Astley's Never Gonna Give You Up. They, in one session, they went to this bar called Nazarene, and that's kind of all they were playing in the jukebox. Never Gonna Give You Up. So it's kind of been, like I said, a theme, inside joke for the game. And I wanted to just close with a kind of a recap of a special session I ran for Joe Salvatore of Raven God Games. He was not able to attend our last T2K session, but he wanted to, and he was doing something on his own, so it kind of totally worked. His character was doing something on his own, so he wanted to do like a makeup session so that we wouldn't cut into the time for our next session, which is at the time of this recording tomorrow night. So there we have Tops, the character that he plays is a Master Chief Tops, who is an ex-Navy SEAL. Well, as of like a month ago, he was a SEAL. It just, after the Battle of Khaleets, with everything dispersed, lost track of his unit. They were doing river ops up and down the various rivers in Poland in preparation for Khaleets. But things got out of hand there, and now I think we figured out that was kind of cool that Joe and I figured out like how long they've been traveling. The Battle of Kalitz seemed to have happened like mid-July, so now they're probably about mid-August in Krakow. So he had gotten this message from Henry Halleck, who is the proprietor of Nazarene, and it was actually like a coaster. And what was actually very cool also is my wife made a prop, and I took a picture of the prop. It has like a picture of a coaster on the front with a Polish beer from that time. Then it has Nazarene Bar and Grill that she kind of stenciled on, and then the number, and then daily specials. And on the back was the note that Henry Halleck wrote for Topps, which was meet me at St. Francis Gate tomorrow, 1200, scratched out 1300. And St. Francis Gate being the Americanized version of St. Florian's Gate, which is an actual like 35-meter tall gate attached to the barbican in the wall that surrounds or used to surround the old city in Krakow for real, but now it has been the wall has been remade in a way with more modern as far as Twilight 2000 apocalyptic world standards are. So like it's instead of the stone walls, it's like concrete and barbed wire. It's tall in some places, but the tallest point is that St. Florian's Gate, and there's like on the inside of there's still like probably a bit of a park. So Topps goes there early. He scouts it out. Doesn't see anything untoward, but he makes a pretty good recon roll. That's kind of what you use for scouting things out and stealth and anything associated with what you would think recon would be. And I do give him, since he rolls well enough, I do give him like some intel on the fortifications. He kind of watches the guards at the gate that are the Ormo, the Polish military who are guarding and serve as the standing army for the city of Krakow, the free city of Krakow. So he sees what they are, and eventually he sees someone approach around 1300. It's this man, oddly wearing a tall man, dressed in a trench coat. He has like rough hands that is kind of scruffy, and he sits next to Topps, and they share a pretzel because apparently there's a lot of pretzel vendors in that area, so might as well, sure, in the post-apocalyptic times, maybe even in the free city of Krakow, the old city, they have some amenities, and pretzels might be one of them. They share a pretzel, and then the man says, I hear you're looking for some coasters to buy. And they strike up a conversation. It works out well enough, and then the man eventually says, hey, let's go talk somewhere else. And I hear you're from Henry Halleck recommended you, so let's go. So they walk a couple blocks. Topps goes with them. He doesn't see anything strange or untoward. In fact, he actually failed his empathy to see if there was anything out of sorts. So if there had been, which there actually was not, then it would have been okay. They're fortunately not followed, and the man leads them to, I guess the advantage of being at the Florian's Gate is, yes, it's a checkpoint and there's a lot of traffic, but it's also kind of been monitored by the Polish army, the Ormo, and maybe a lot of, it's a good meeting place because it's public, and generally speaking, not a lot of ne'er-do-wells hang out there for fear of the Polish forces stationed there. So he leads them a couple blocks away towards another part of the old city, and to like what looks like a carpenter shop. You can hear hammers and the spinning of lathes and that kind of stuff. And it's called the Nazarene. And inside are you can imagine a bunch of buff Polish men in aprons and muscle shirts working on carpentry stuff. So this man introduced himself as Gustav Kryankowicz, although he said that his real name was John Smith for a number of reasons. So so Tops follows him in there, and they strike up a conversation, and it went really well. I think it was very good role playing. The gist of it was that Tops was looking for a way to find information about what was going on in the U.S. because all they've heard was a rumor. They've been in Poland. Like I said, things in Kalisz got out of hand, so they want to know what's going on in the U.S. They kind of had inklings, but apparently this guy Gustav's boss, his boss has a radio to talk to people in the West. So there you go. And Tops learns that these guys are DIA, so Defense Intelligence Agency, and he learns that that this man Gustav is appreciative that he found him first, because apparently, even though the DIA and the CIA have always had professional rivalry, it's become contentious as of late. And there's also like a lot of KGB in the city, but two types of KGB, both ex-Stasi and actual Russian KGB. So very interestingly, and Tops gets a rundown of like a couple mob bosses that are operating in town. He gave Gustav information about the Marauders, which was kind of new information. And he did mention the Operation Reset and that they had the papers, but Tops kept it close to the vest that they didn't know. He didn't reveal that the group had also found information on the caches and maybe a prototype of this Operation Reset machine that the Marauders might have. He did tell him that the Cutler is gone, and Gustav was like, "Well, that's great. We've been trying to get him for a while." It was a very amicable, and then it ended with Tops kind of maybe using this place as a front, so he can work as a carpenter, help out around if he needs to. And Gustav promised for him to meet the boss, so that was planned for the next day. But suddenly, like as they're discussing this and figuring this out, so Gustav left to set this up, and Tops was there, kind of working and helping and learning some of the tricks of the trade in the Nazarene carpentry shop. And this at some point Gustav came back and said, "Yeah, we set up the meeting. We'll meet tomorrow near dawn, and I'll take you to him because his DIA boss wants to meet Tops, and maybe some of the others. We'll see. We'll see how that goes." So then, while they were discussing and figuring out what to plan next, Boy comes in, and he is, oh man, there's this column of Americans coming in, and that's where we shift to the other group, and Top sees like that the gang is rolling into Krakow. They're gonna kind of base squat for the time being in the place that Tops had found the night before, where they interrogated and executed Cutler. So we'll see how that goes. And I know a lot of the other, like Amy, my wife, has a lot of plans for what she wants to do. So we'll see how that goes with the rest of the group. But it was kind of, they're fronting as a column of like a medical corps column. They've captured a Russian ambulance. They have a civilian truck and motorcycle, and they took the APC. They took the 50 cal off the APC, off the Pinto mount, and put a big red cross on the side of it. Painted a big red cross. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. We're supposed to play, like I said, tonight. It's after midnight now, so we'll see how things go. Yeah, I think it's been a longer episode than I wanted, but it had some really cool call-ins, and I wanted to really share with you these recaps and things that had happened gaming-wise over the weekend. There's some more games that I played. Like I mentioned in the intro, I played some other games, and we're continuing with I have two games actually today. One, a Traveler game, which I'm very excited about. We're going to be doing some Traveler. I'm using the GURPS 4th edition system, and run by Shea Webster of Roleplay Rescue. And then in the evening is a T2K game. So excited about that. And thanks for the call-ins, everyone. Thanks for listening. Thank you, TJ Drennan, for the music. And here it comes.